New alternate jerseys for the Buffalo Bills were unveiled today. They have been dubbed the Nickel City jerseys, and for more on them, we do a piece up at our website, WGR550.com. And then for the rest of the week, tomorrow is the day when vets are going to report to training camp, with Wednesday being the first practice. And for more, stay tuned. Sal Capaccio going to join the show in just a little bit at 5 p.m. Around the rest of the league, Chiefs offense coordinator Eric Bieniemy's wife, Mia, was shot Sunday evening at their home in Virginia. She's currently in stable condition and is being treated for serious wounds. The Bieniemy's son, Elijah, was arrested and is being charged with malicious wounding, use of a firearm in commission of a felony, and discharge of a firearm inside of the dwelling. And then over in college, North Carolina GM Mike Lombardi has been placed on paid administrative leave following a human resources complaint filed by a former North Carolina front office worker. The administrative leave is due to what is now going on, a pending investigation. And then in baseball, Blue Jays at Washington, 6:45 for that one. Mets host the Braves at 7:10, and then the Yankees, they're at the White Sox. First pitch for that one at 7:40. That's your Paddock Chevrolet Sports Update. Paddock Chevrolet with you for the extra mile since 1935. I'm Zach Jones for Western New York's Voice of the Fan, WGR.
Mike Schopp and the Bulldog.
I don't think that's a very good attitude.
It's Mike Schopp.
You don't think? You don't think? I don't think you should be butting in when I'm talking to my team. You're my assistant, okay? You're supposed to back me up and go get me juice boxes when I tell you. Now go get me a juice box.
You know who you're talking to.
It's the Bulldog.
I'm talking to the juice box guy.
You're crazy.
I'm not crazy. I'm just thirsty.
Why don't you go to hell?
No, you go to hell. While you're there, why don't you grab me a juice box?
I'm no juice box boy, I'll tell you that.
Yes, you are.
No, I'm not.
Yes, you
It's
are.
Mike
I'm
Schopp
not. Yes, you
and the
are.
Bulldog on WGR Sports Radio 550.
Hi there, welcome. Nice day. New uniforms.
I gotta go.
Don't you dare. Don't you dare leave me alone with this one. Oh.
Hi, everyone.
I was just about to tweet something about them today, but then I went to Twitter and there was you. There were you. There was Bulldog with, that's easier, with a comment about how expensive it is now, relatively, just period, expensive, it is to buy in to the stadium and the Bills, as we, of course, all should have expected. And then, here comes a new uniform themed on hard work and,
celebrating
everyman.
the blue-collar roots of the region, and which is, it's a fine concept, but it just, I don't know, it just sort of, it landed awkwardly on me. Like, I had seen these uniforms. I guess I've saw them first, maybe even months ago, some rendition of this thing, never knowing for sure if that was to be 100% trusted. So I already had like an idea of what we were going to be dealing with the uniform, and I know how that goes. We've been together for these. We weren't together when the Sabres went from blue and gold to black and red, but mostly everything since then. Although they changed in 2002, right, like a year before the Bills went to the Bledsoe era uniforms before we were together. But since then, we've been together. Primarily, it's been Sabres stuff that is, enraged the populace, I guess.
I don't think the Bills, by the way, during that time, which is more than 20 years, have ever been, blamed for a misstep.
No, I agree. I think there's always been a sort of a clamor for, the 90s to get their due. Give me a throwback with the red. And they did wear red helmets last year. So they got part of the way there. But anyway, I knew what the concept was. I trusted that was probably what we were going to see today when they were officially announced and unveiled. And, we haven't spent much time on it because, again, we didn't know for sure. But I even said if what I've seen is right, I don't know. It doesn't seem like the reaction is going to be positive. I don't mind the gray uniform itself. Like, it doesn't, the helmet, I think, is a real miss. And I know people that I like and respect who feel exactly the opposite.
Really?
That the uniform is, like, unforgivably bad, but the helmet is cool. And like, so therein lies the dilemma when you try to present something new to any group of people, let alone a fan base that's extremely passionate about what this team is and means to them, and what they wear is a part of that. So I've already had like an opinion about it, and I wasn't going to be the guy leading the charge like this is the worst thing that's ever happened,
so to speak,
because I kind of like the gray. I like gray. You're
a gray guy.
It works for me. Anyway, the video, the announcement, my first thought was now we're leaning into this. It just seems a little like too pandering, a bit patronizing to me.
Of course it is.
And so that's my big I have a bigger problem with that than I do with like if they just released these and didn't give me a whole backstory and everything. Well, we're going to get people are going to be hot and bothered, but as soon as they see Josh Allen in it, their kids are going to want it, and then they'll sell like crazy. And then if they win in them, this will all be forgotten, which, is largely, I think, true. But the video, the announcement, it just felt, given the time and place, we're moving as hard and fast as ever. And it's necessary to do it. But to be at the launch of the most white-collar venue you've ever had as a franchise and be leaning into the blue-collar element just sort of felt patronizing to me. That's it. That's my strong. It's not about the striping or anything. It's really that just sort of, I'm going to say, offended me. And I'm not my dad sold insurance. Like, I did not grow up working. I got plenty of relatives who lived that life at Westinghouse and GE and all that other stuff. But it's not like I'm Mr. Grassroots, digging ditches up on telephone poles. Not that you do those two things at the same time, but you get what I'm saying. Like hard-working, outdoor, blue-collar type work. That's not my background either. But it just felt hollow to me.
You mentioned striping. Did you mean the tone-on-tone striping?
Yes, I didn't. I was reluctant to use a phrasing that wasn't actually what was said.
Is it like the Super Bowl? Like, are you allowed to say?
I don't know. I just didn't want to say the wrong thing.
We're not the flagship anymore. Like, Are we allowed to say?
I don't know.
Are we allowed to even talk about this?
And look, I know, like, I'm getting, lots of feedback, which is what you sort of expect. And plenty of like, hey, man, I'm a blue-collar dude, and I worked on the stadium, and I can afford tickets, and I bought a PSL. I'm like, okay, I tip my hat to you. But I think it's undeniably true that some portions of this fan base got priced out of the new stadium.
Well, some portion of the fan base was priced out of the last stadium.
Sure. That's
always the direction.
That's progress. That's how it goes. I just think it's a weird time, a weird signpost to hang your hard hat on that hook right now.
Fair enough. Buffalo hasn't been a blue-collar city in decades. So, if we care about what's actually true, which we don't. Nobody ever wants to talk about Buffalo or wherever they live as a white-collar city. Like, nobody would ever want to flaunt that. But, most places are. Bigger cities, including ours. Hasn't been a blue-collar city by the definition of the term in my entire life, probably. But, we love that about ourselves.
It's the background, and it's even I would say, even though I didn't grow up in a blue-collar household, I think, a blue-collar, if something's got to be done, I'm going to do it.
Sure.
Hence the topsoil adventure from last week. Like, this has got to be done. I'm not picking up the phone and calling somebody. I'm going to break my back doing it like an idiot. I'm see a job, do a job. I'm that sort of guy. I don't do it for a living, but that's my mentality. That's the blue collar work ethic. It has nothing to do with whether you sit on the radio in what am I wearing today? An Epiphone Gibson guitar T-shirt and talk for a living, or whether you're, again, running wires for telecom.
And I would call an Uber to cross the street. So, we're different.
Right. So that's it. It's not to me about the workforce. And how vital to the economy it is or used to be.
There's no reason to even. I know I brought it up, but there's no point in debating that. Anybody charged, again, I'll use charge. It's the day for it. Charged with, all right, can you back that up? Nobody's going to say yes because they can't. It's just sort of it's an ethos. It's a state of mind. And it's not to say that real people aren't doing these real jobs or haven't been for, centuries. It's just like, all right, well, we know the number one, like in most things anymore, we know the number one thing is to not be accurate. Like we're just going to play on narratives. So fine. Why would it ever have been different than that? It was never, no uniform would ever dare, no uniform launch or whatever it's called officially. I mean, I'm so self-conscious now to know the real corporate words here that no one else would ever use. Like whatever for the Bills or Sabres even maybe now too. There's going to be a Sabres one of these. Maybe they'll learn from today in certain ways, not include some reference to the good old hardworking fan base. Like that's always going to happen. I can't, knowing that this is a franchise that brought you the word frictionless recently in an email, it's in the small print of an email about how I don't have to touch anything when I buy a hot dog at the new stadium. I can't, I don't even know what to say. I went to Twitter to comment, and it was going to take me a while to figure out how to do it. But there you were with a different take on this. And like, well, I'm not going to step on that. I'll just wait. And against my own better judgment, at 3 o'clock, call up the tweet with all the explanations of what everything is and just absolutely lose my mind over that someone's job is to write this. Tone-on-tone striping.
Tone-on-tone striping, yeah.
Tone-on-tone. Is that a phrase you've ever heard or read? Tone-on-tone?
No.
It means it's the same color.
Yeah, right.
Is that even a color? I guess it is. Everything's a color. That's what tone-on-tone means?
I believe so, yeah.
With the exact stripe weights and ratios as our primary uniform, these tonal stripes are formed under extreme pressure as a sign of strength and durability. Don't you dare leave. Because if you leave, everybody out there is getting 4 hours of me reading this thing.
That might be pretty good.
With the exact stripe, I mean, you're going to have to physically tear me away from this. The exact stripe weights and ratios as our primary uniform, these tonal stripes are formed under extreme pressure as a sign of strength and durability. Can anything just not mean something? Go Bills, inside collar. F, that was E. It didn't start at the beginning. F.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
The preferred way to salute Bills Mafia out in the wild. What now?
Yeah, I mean, go Bills
what
is a greeting and it's become ubiquitously, like, you see part of the reason I wore my dopey white Bills hat with the blue buffalo on it around Spain 2 summers ago was in the hope that I'd be wandering through the train station in Madrid and someone would pass me and say, "Go Bills."
Well, okay, I was just thinking, probably because of how I am, about the inside collar part.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't realize this was just a reference to how this is how you say hi to each other.
Yeah. That's what that
inside collar.
Yeah. I'm not sure what I guess you.
What point does anything serve being written on the inside of a collar?
You just get to say
that gets its own letter?
You get to say it's there.
F.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, this is one of these situations where I feel like, I mean, for me, see, here's where the why it just sort of grates on me is because I feel like, I don't know that they knew or expected, they should have. Certainly, if they were paying attention to what people were saying about the leaks of this design, been bracing for some sort of fan, revolt is way too strong, but like fan dissatisfaction at a minimum. And so I feel like you lean into the blue collar thing because, you don't want to be the jerk that doesn't like the uniform that's paying tribute to your great grandpa. Or whatever, like it's I think just to soften you up,
right? To
like, I don't like this, but well, now that I know the story and they got the guy in the video talking about, okay, I don't want to be a guy that's sort of too good for that. So I guess I kind of like it. But for me, I'd be better off not knowing any of the stuff you're going to share with us from the thing. And I know there's going to be a video, but I didn't need the whole story. I didn't need it. It's more annoying to me than the helmet, which I really don't like at all. But
I don't understand
it's whatever. It's a helmet. I'll get over it. And it's also new, and I appreciate not just. I mean, we went through this with the Sabres when they changed to the slug. Like, not just rolling out the old stuff because, you're trying to do something new and blaze a new trail. And, like, okay, I'm for that. It makes me not want to hate on the uniform design, but all this marketing nonsense is really that's what's under my skin, is that more than what the helmet looks like.
Well, that's what I wanted to tweet about, but there you were.
Oh, I stole your thunder.
You got in front of me. I don't get up early enough.
I sat for a while wrestling with whether I wanted to venture in there because, like, I don't know, like I don't have the data on how many people left and are being replaced by people who haven't been going or any of that. Like, I don't know. I assume that there are people that simply went, I can't afford blank, or it's just not worth it. Like, I can't afford the PSL on the seat I've had, and I don't want to move to Section 725 and pay some nominal PSL because I've enjoyed sitting on the 40-yard line 20 rows up. But now I can't because I can't pay whatever the freight is on that. So I want to stick up for those people, but I don't know how many thousands of them there are even. So I thought about it when I was sitting there with it, and then I don't know. I just saw another clip of the video. I'm like, I gotta say something. This is what I feel, and if wrong or right, I'm just gonna put it out there. Like, just come on, don't patronize us with this stuff. That's how it feels to me. Again, I'm not a member of that workforce.
I don't get the helmet at all, but I did want to think twice about it when I read that it comes with a micro metallic flake finish.
Yeah, that I didn't notice that in any.
That really stops you. It makes you think.
Yeah.
Maybe I should like it because it comes with a micro metallic flake finish. Yeah. Micro metallic. Mm-hmm. Hyphenated.
Yeah.
Flake finish.
Please don't ask me what that means.
And metallic blue accents, well, naturally. Boasting a mindset of energy, strength, and attack! ! Here we come. How did a standing buffalo ever get off the ground in one of these meetings? Energy, strength, and attack is what we're doing now.
Right.
Here's an animal standing still.
Right.
Taking a picture from a meadow or something. Nothing. It's not even like eating some elk or something like that.
It's like the least active
energy,
portrayal
strength. Thank God they got away from that iconic team logo.
Right.
Because I mean, how would the players function? How would they even know what to do? They wouldn't want to run or tackle or hit.
They'll be faster.
Block.
They'll be faster now with these attack logos.
I just could throw up. I mean, this is just really how you get to me. It's just all this wording and just.
I'm sorry I ventured into your lane.
Frictionless. Is this a frictionless uniform? I can't even say it. Thank God. The only time I'd ever even think of saying it is referencing that you don't have to touch anybody to buy a hot dog. Which they wanted, they were promoting. When they did the thing about like concessions. Nickel gray foundation, utilizing existing brand color. Oh, well. You're utilizing existing brand color. Wait a minute. Are you saying, not in plain English, of course, are you saying that gray was already part of the uniform? Or just part of something that they had the rights to? I mean, you can't use gray unless, who cares? Utilizing an existing brand color. Your uniforms are not gray. Your helmets are not gray. What's the point? Is this like, get off me? This is an existing brand color. Why not capitalize that? It's so official sounding.
Is the existing brand color because in 1960 they wore silver or something?
I'm quite sure this is not the same.
Okay, yeah, that's the best I can do. I don't know. I mean,
an existing brand color.
Doesn't everybody put out gray stuff with their logos on it? Like that's a sweatshirt.
Utilizing an existing brand color We pull inspiration from the steel mills, grain elevators, and rail yards, which are foundational to our region's place in history. Man, give that person a raise for that sentence. Yeah. You got grain elevators in with a reference to your existing brand color. Mm-hmm. You got rail yards and brand in the same sentence. That is, I mean, that's a promotion.
Yeah.
The left chest charging buffalo, Bulldog. It's not the Bills logo. It's the left chest charging buffalo.
Close to the heart.
Positioned close to the heart. The charging buffalo, that's capitalized, placement represents the love we have for our team and the pride so many Bills legends, also capitalized, have shown.
Good to know.
I don't get the helmet at all. I can't imagine they're actually going to play a single football game without a buffalo on their helmet.
I think that's going to happen.
It happened in 1960,
and that logo,
and not since, I believe.
That logo, this is the one. This is when I started to think that the leak could be real. Maybe it was the ribbon cutting ceremony, like all the videos and photos from that. I mean, I didn't see every one, but I saw a lot. And I noticed in various places all around the stadium, inside the bowl, that what's on the helmet was without a buffalo on it, just that streak. Charge, I think is what Sal's been calling it, the Charge logo.
The Charge helmet is the official
name.
All caps. Well,
that was prominent in the stadium, and that made me think that this thing that I saw through a Twitter account that tracks, jersey leaks and whatever and rumors, like, oh, maybe that's real because that thing is all over the stadium, and so why wouldn't they be putting it on something that they're going to wear? That was the moment that I thought, I think the gray thing is real, and that helmet's a real thing, and it turned out to be correct.
I am not proud of myself. I don't write anymore, but I respect being able to do it. And this is not journalism, of course. This is marketing. There's a Seinfeld. Remember the Tim Watley, the dentist who may or may not have been anti-Semitic? And he said, it's Bryan Cranston, right? He's in Seinfeld. He says something that maybe was offensive to Jewish people. And Seinfeld at one point says, it was like a joke. He's like, it doesn't offend me as a Jew. It offends me as a comedian.
Right.
Like this, I don't care. I don't care what they wear that much. I'm not buying anything they wear. But it just offends me as somebody that cares about words. Mm-hmm. Tone on tone. Foundational. Existing brand.
Existing brand color, I think.
Yeah,
right?
I just can't. I just want to be sick. And I'm just sort of defensive a little bit now for some reason. I know that it's people that are not from like journalism who are writing this, unless they couldn't cut it in journalism because journalism is really hard to make work anymore.
No, yeah.
This is just ridiculous.
Yeah, the purpose of journalism is not to get people to like you. At least it shouldn't be. This is entirely, of course, it's predicated on its marketing. They're trying to make you like a thing. That, again, to circle all the way back, I think my reason that I feel this friction about everything they're saying and writing, the marketing behind the jersey, is so that you feel like you're maybe not the best person if you don't like it. Because, well, I mean, don't you want to celebrate the heritage of our working class backgrounds and all that? Like, sure, I want those people to get respect, but it just feels the timing is just off. With a giant new stadium in a multi-billion-dollar league, it just, I don't know, it just smacks of wanting, you want it both ways. I think, I'm not against the new stadium. I'm not against nice things. I'm not against prices increasing. It's how you get to stay in the league. And you got to be able to pull your weight and do it like that. We know that. This is just it's one thing too many on my back to carry. That's how I feel. I just feel like you shouldn't be able to celebrate that at this moment in time, because it just doesn't feel appropriate to me.
You're not reading the room.
Right. But, I'll get pushback on that, which is fine. It's just an opinion. You certainly out there don't have to agree. And again, I've heard from already. Hey, I worked on the stadium. I love that they recognized us, and I managed to pay for a PSL and what. Like again, hat tip. I'm thinking about the people who feel like maybe as distant from the organization as maybe they've ever felt.
Well, how much credit do the Bills really deserve for any notion in that direction? I mean, it's just so easy. You're talking about how nobody wants to argue with it because what are you arguing with? People and history and tradition. It's like any military ad campaign, right? Like, some are missteps and some are not, maybe. But what are you going to say? What are you going to you're going to criticize the?
No,
the
no,
troops?
you're going to stand up and applaud when it's time to do it. Right.
It's if it isn't cheap, it's obviously very easy to do. And I mean, I'm not a blue collar worker either. I would like to think I'd roll my eyes today. Come on, really? 803-0550 for your thoughts. We will get to the phones after a break. Mike Schopp and the Bulldog here, WGR.
For more comfort.
Now's the perfect time to make yourself comfortable with a new electric heating and cooling system from Belknap.
In Western New York, summer and winter bring extreme temperature conditions. Make yourself comfortable with Mitsubishi electric heat pumps, designed to keep your home cool in the summer and warm in the winter, no matter how hot or cold it gets outside. Call Belknap today to learn more.
I'm Gary Garfel, president of Belknap. We work on your schedule. We don't charge more for weekends and evenings. That's why we say,
give Belknap a ring.
Well, I think the Commanders definitely will be in play for Stephon Diggs. I think that's a viable landing spot. I think the Ayuk situation with the Commanders, I think that was on the track to happening, and it went off the track. And that doesn't mean it can't get back on the track, but again, I think there are people that wonder whether or not he wants to play. They've raised that question. So we'll see what happens there. But Stephon Diggs went to Maryland. They could use another wide receiver. He would be a great alternative. I could see the Commanders being in play for him.
Adam Schefter, before we get to your calls, do you have any interest in where Diggs lands for whatever reason?
Sure. I'm curious what he's what he's got. I mean, he had a very good year, if not even a great year at his age, an injury comeback last year. So yeah, I mean, a couple of weeks ago or last week, I don't know. I said I would do it here. I don't think they're going to, but it's not an offensive idea to me. So yeah, I have a curiosity about him.
Ravens.
I don't want that.
That's what I was thinking when I asked you. Like you had Houston, some level of rival, and then New England, of course.
More now.
You want to play against them
more
again.
now than when he went there. I would say Houston. Like Houston, they beat the Bills pretty handily with him, and then last year obviously without him.
Right. Let's get to your calls here. Andy is with us. Hi, Andy.
Hey, guys.
Hi.
Just for fantasy purposes, Mike, I am curious where Diggs shows up, so that'll be interesting.
Draft him now.
Yeah, right. Yeah, not same with Deebo Samuel. We'll see.
And
now I'm calling. Wanted to piggyback off the first segment, though. My main.
Hello.
Oh,
I'm sorry,
Andy. Sorry, man. Your phone just blew up.
You got the Dig stuff in, at least. We heard that clearly.
Right.
Adam is next. Hi, Adam.
Hey, thanks for taking my call, guys.
Sure thing. Thanks for calling.
So, about the uniforms, I mean, I get the messaging, like we have a strong, very prideful community. That's all great. But I think what we wanted in the uniforms was either something that's like intimidating or exciting. And with the gray, I just think of Eeyore. It's just a boring color that, maybe if the top was like some throwback, angry, rough gray, and then it went into like a polished, shiny nickel, something like that. But I just don't feel like there's any creativity. Dead horse on that whole subject. But my other thing I've been screaming for years, could we bring back Jaws for the kickoff?
Okay. I don't know. I don't have a take on that. Eeyore, however.
We got Eeyore and Jaws in one call.
Oh, also gray.
The music. I get it. Okay, for the kickoff. Yeah.
Was that because Jaws is gray? But he's been screaming for years about it.
Yeah, no, I don't think.
Right.
I think it's a separate issue for this caller.
Okay.
I don't think they're connected.
Eeyore.
That's a
donkey.
That's a pull. Yeah.
That's a pull.
That is a pull. It's gray.
Is that from Winnie the Pooh?
Yes.
Yeah. Talking about a reference to Winnie the Pooh in my house today.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Pooh Corner.
It was all very timely.
We have Pooh Corner.
I got a Pooh Corner for you.
That's what we have. That's what we have. My wife asked my daughter to take Margot outside. And I said, take her to Pooh Corner. I just cut it. Nice and tight.
All right.
Cut grass.
Yep.
Anyway, John is next. Hello, John.
Hey, guys. I just think the new uniforms are pretty terrible. Just the gray and the helmets are awful. I mean, it seems like they ask no fans for their input because I don't think there's any fan out there that right now is like, yes, like this is the uniform. But to me, it seems like if they were able to have the 1960s throwbacks that they wear certain years, along with the red helmet 90 throwbacks, along with their current uniforms, I think everybody would be happy with that. And it seems like a slam dunk in terms of like merchandise sales and everything like that. So it just seems like a no-brainer. So I don't know why they did this, to be honest.
Well, one reason probably is that people already own all that stuff.
Right. From a merchandise sales perspective, I think we learned this. We did, was it like weeks worth of shows about the Sabre uniform change in 07, 08? Or, 06, 07.
Maybe.
It certainly felt that way. I mean, it was summer. So, there was a lot of room to operate. And I think that stuff sold like crazy. So as much as we are sitting here going, I don't like it, I don't like it, I don't like it. As soon as you see Josh Allen in it in a still photo, or Shakir, or anybody on the team, but Allen's the biggest star on the team, obviously. I think it softens you. Like if you saw it, if you saw what was making the rounds most of last week, a Kincaid jersey on a hanger in a store, and a little mini helmet in a case is what I think a lot of people saw. That was the most widely distributed, in my view, photo of the Bills' new gear. And that's, it's on a hanger. What looks good on a hanger? You got a mini helmet in a little case. Ugh. See a guy in it, not even in person, like, all right, I see you working. And then you see them actually playing it, and then you go to the store. I think they'll sell a ton of this stuff. They sell tons of everything they make. So
that makes us worse.
I know, but like you made the right point right away to the caller. The first thing you said was a lot of us already have all that stuff.
Well, I think it's probably obvious that this effort was made entirely with that kind of thought in mind, which is, all right, well, what doesn't really come that close to anything we've already produced? Because that is the point, is to sell it. So it is, in fairness to the Bills, it is an existing brand color.
Well, there's that, yes.
Which they were careful to tell us. I mean, I just think the throwback jerseys were very similar to their real jerseys, and the helmets have all been kind of the same. So, nobody's buying helmets anyway to wear.
Right.
So, let's come up with something new. And they did. And, it feels like talking about food a little bit. Well, I can't stand green beans or something like that. Just,
right.
The next guy will love them.
I like the wings at this place better than that place. Well, okay, whatever.
I don't have any important opinion about whether it looks good, but I just can't stand the effort to which teams go to try to explain it to you. Like everything, no detail was left. Right. Okay, well, I would have assumed that. I feel like you probably did care about this. But, just to hit me with tone-on-tone striping and how everything conveys energy and attack and durability, or just give us a little bit of credit.
You miss me with almost all of it.
All of it.
Yeah.
Thank you, John. Here's Adam next. Hi, Adam.
How you guys doing?
Okay, Adam. Thanks for calling.
So here I am. I'm out in Rochester, New York. Super excited about what's going to take place starting tomorrow. Actually told one of my daughters today, tomorrow morning is the day that the flag goes out. Season starts. They report to training camp. Mm-hmm. And I knew that this was coming because I've been in a text chain with people letting them know just how strongly I felt about what was leaked. But the more I think about it, the more I honestly cannot get my head wrapped around. How did a marketing firm sit down in a conference room, come up with the concept? The jersey is blah and bad enough. But when they throw that logo on that helmet and come up with the design, how in God's green earth did someone say in that boardroom, this is a great idea, let's roll with it? Because to me, it's the most crazy idea that they rolled this out. In my opinion, it's like the Bumblebee Pittsburgh Steelers uniforms that should have never left some child's coloring book design. This should have never been a helmet and jersey combination for the team to roll out, let alone in year one of a new stadium. The helmet makes the whole jersey and uniform look worse. If they would have just done what Josh did years ago and went with the blue helmet with the regular logo, that would actually look even better and make the uniform tellable. But the way that they have that helmet looking, it is like joke show, UFL, XFL. It's just such a bad look. And I know they did it, like you all said, to sell and make money, because who buys a helmet? But is there a fan base in professional sports that has screamed from the mountaintops louder than our fan base to say, can we please just have the red helmet once or twice a season? And then instead, they came out with walked out of a boardroom and said,
all right,
I know what they're going to love. Let's do this. It's crazy. And it was so horrible.
I don't know all the rules about what can and can't be worn and how many different variations of uniform. I know there's a limit. You can't just wear whatever. You can't just go to your closet and like, okay, let's wear this today. But I don't think anything they announced today prohibits them from using the red helmet on occasion still. I think that is still something that's in the window. So it doesn't close the door to that. But look, I agree. I think, maybe the most the opinion I've seen expressed that I agree with the most is that there's a disconnect between the design. The helmet is a bold departure. There's no buffalo on it at all. That's massive. The Bills have always had, well, I shouldn't say always, 1960. No.
Just the one year they had numbers on their helmets.
Okay. Almost the entirety of their existence, they've had some form of a bison on the helmet. So they took that off. Okay, that alone doesn't have to make you want to rebel. It doesn't really make me want to rebel. You're trying something. But to put like a adventurous design for a helmet with basically just a gray version of what you've been wearing for forever just seems a little odd to me. Like, go all the way. If you're going to go with that kind of helmet, then I think you need to work a little harder than just slapping gray paint on your uniform and tone-on-tone striping.
Tone-on-tone striping. T-O-T. I really almost only care about the words. I mean, just... Yeah, you said last week you were scared about the helmet.
Yeah.
Gray's fine, whatever.
Yeah.
You were scared about the helmet. I think you were right to be. It's really strange.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
Bold departure is at least...
If it was with a jersey and pants combination that I also hated, it might make more sense if that is allowed. Does that make sense? Like, it's an ill-fitting combination, I think. That helmet with that uniform doesn't really make a lot of sense to me.
Aaron Schatz's coming up in 20 minutes. His annual stat-rich almanac is out. We'll set up the season as camp starts this week, and for many teams has started already, with our frequent guest over the years, Aaron Schatz. Sal's going to join us at 5. Veterans Report tomorrow. The last caller's flag goes up in Rochester. Look for it.
Right on.
And then they're on the field on Wednesday for the first time. Mike Schopp and the Bulldog here. This is WGR. Welcome back. Aaron Schatz at the top of the hour. Sal Capaccio at 5 today. We go to Luke next. Hi, Luke.
Hey, fellas. I know that much has been said about the design at this point, and personally, I don't like it. It just seems lazy and uninspired. I mean, compared to that whiteout logo, say what you want to say about it, love it or hate it, but I think that the design on the whiteout was original, creative. It pushed the boundaries of the original logo, but whatever. I do think that there are creative people working over there. I know that.
For sure, yeah.
Yeah. Like the people who run the Instagram page who put out those goofy, bizarre videos aren't necessarily the ones, designing helmets and uniforms, but that's just an example of, the work that's being put into marketing and messaging over there. I just think that whoever is a part of that team didn't have a say in this. I just get that vibe. I get the vibe that this was kind of a forced, pushed thing. And to me, this is another kind of example of how Pegula gets in the way of things, and just the tone-deaf nature of it all with the messaging and things like that. This just screams like Terry Pegula being tone-deaf to me. So that's all I got to say, but appreciate your time.
Mm-hmm. I don't know if that's accurate.
Yeah,
no idea.
Me either. I know. I would guess hundreds, if not thousands, of hours were spent coming up with this design. I don't know everything about it, but it's not something, it's easy for me to say just slap some gray paint on the regular uniform and there's your jersey. It does sort of look like that, but this announcement that Mike has been reading from tells you a lot of thought. I don't think you start explaining all that after you have the design. You know what I mean? How do we make this sound good? Okay, why is this there? Why is that there? What? That's all thought through. So I don't doubt that a team of people worked tirelessly coming up with this, and I don't love. And look, I'm not even really dunking on the design itself. I'm not upset about what they're going to be wearing. I just feel like the whole thing, the leaning into the blue collar at this time in their history, moving into a new stadium that costs more than it's ever cost, is just it just doesn't land well on me. And that's just me. I'm not trying to stir up trouble. I mean, I'm paid to give you opinions about stuff, and that's mine on this.
Max Scherzer tonight in Washington.
Also, he's been activated. That's not a minor league ballpark, I assume.
No,
okay.
And they're actually not terrible anymore, Washington. The Jays are pretty bad.
Yeah.
But he pitched here on Wednesday, and we talked for a minute about how much might have been riding on that. His ERA in the majors this year is over 10. He might be 41 years old. What happens in Buffalo might have meant a lot to everybody involved. But he didn't give up a hit.
Right,
5 innings.
Right.
So called back up, and he's been a few places, but Washington is maybe where you would think of him first. Scherzer?
I might think Detroit.
Oh, yeah? Okay.
Yeah, but
he'll pitch at the Nationals tonight for the Blue Jays.
Maybe a showcase for a trade.
If he's good, probably it should be.
Yeah.
What do the Jays need him for at this point? They're in last. Also, Ronald Acuna is back tonight for Atlanta.
Are they at the Mets? Okay, right.
First game off the DL where he'd been twice, second time this year with a hamstring problem. So, little baseball. Aaron Schatz coming up. We'll break from the jerseys unless Aaron wants to go off on him. I don't know. We'll give him some chance to do that. He'll join us after sports. Stay tuned.
New alternate jerseys for the Buffalo Bills, and they have been unveiled today. They have been dubbed the Nickel City jerseys. And for more on them, we do have a piece up at our website, WGR550.com. And then tomorrow is the day. Veterans are going to report to training camp, with Wednesday being the first practice of camp. And for more on that, do stay tuned in just a little bit. At 5, Sal Capaccio will join the show. Around the rest of the league, Chiefs offensive coordinator Eric Bieniemy's wife Mia was shot Sunday evening at their home in Virginia. She is currently in stable condition and being treated for serious wounds. The Bieniemy son Elijah, though, was arrested and has been charged with malicious wounding, use of a firearm in commission of a felony, and discharge of a firearm inside of a dwelling. And over in college, North Carolina General Manager Mike Lombardi has been placed on paid administrative leave following a human resources complaint filed by a former North Carolina front office worker. The administration leave is due to the pending investigation. While in baseball, Blue Jays at Washington at 6:45. The Mets host the Braves at 7:10. And the Yankees, they're at the White Sox. First pitch for that one is at 7:40. That's your Paddock Chevrolet Sports Update. Paddock Chevrolet with you for the extra mile since 1935. I'm Zach Jones for Western New York's Voice of the Fan, WGR.
It's Mike Schopp and the Bulldog.
Raisin Bran. You got to put Raisin Bran up there. Everybody knows it.
It's Mike Schopp.
Listen, get your own stupid old dying person team and choose your own cereals.
And the Bulldog.
I shall unleash my fury upon you like the crashing of 1,000 waves.
That cereal is soggy. You reach into the fridge for the milk and open the lid on the milk to pour it in there, and that crap is already soggy.
I am untethered and my rage knows no bounds.
That's a problem. That's a problem for a cereal. I
huge
think.
problem.
It's Mike Schopp and the Bulldog on WGR Sports Radio 550.
New uniforms, at least for apparently 2 games this season. The top topic of the day. Mike Schopp and the Bulldog here will take a detour from that for the next little while and chat with the author. Bulldog, any guesses? The author of Aaron Schatz's FTN Football Almanac. Correct. Aaron Schatz with us on the West Her Hotline. I liked that you were on with Steve Bennett the other day, Aaron, in his podcast. Steve is a local guy. Sportscasters, I believe, is the name of it, and hopefully you had a good experience.
Yeah, I do him every year, man. I've been doing with him since early in the book days, like 15 years ago or something.
Awesome. Good.
Very good. What's new and exciting about this year's edition other than all new information?
Mostly the all-new information. It's, the usual chapters on every team, all kinds of advanced stats, all kinds of write-ups, analysis of what teams are going to do this year. The big change this year is we ranked nickel backs separately from outside cornerbacks, because there's all these players now who are called safeties, but they're really nickel corners, and then other guys are cornerbacks, but they're really different nickel corners. So we sort of combined all those guys into one category and looked at things that way, which we think is a more accurate way to look at it.
And the Bills had a good one for a long time in Taron Johnson, who has since been traded to the Raiders. I mean, maybe it was time. It's interesting about the Bills' defense. And we really haven't spent a ton of time on this because, gone is gone, I guess, maybe. But they have maybe a half dozen defensive veterans who, just did not sign anywhere. Maybe it's not that many anymore. But Milano and Trey White and Bosa. And Taron Johnson was going to be released before they made a deal with the Raiders for a 7th-round pick or something just after that. So, I mean, what about the Bills defensively for you, Aaron, as a team in transition?
We like the Bills' defense to rebound a little bit this year. We think a couple of things. First of all, it's just general rebounding, right? They were a good defense until last year. They were really bad on third downs, really, really bad on third downs, 30th in the league. So it's much more likely that they play a lot closer to what they did on the first 2 downs, which is 14th. And then they added some guys, right? Bradley Chubb, Gardner Johnson, rookies like T.J. Parker. It looks like they added some talent and didn't necessarily, like you said, the guys who are gone didn't really get signed by other teams. So did they lose a lot? Not as much as we think that they added. So we like the defense to rebound a bit.
Yeah, you mentioned Chubb there, Aaron. When I get asked about this, the new defense in general and maybe pass rush specifically is where I want to go here. I've thought that maybe the new scheme generates more pass rush overall for them, more aggressive, more blitzing, and maybe that gets them good results because I don't really think, even with Bradley Chubb here, that they have a guy. Like the Bills have been searching for a guy since they signed Von Miller, or really even before that when they drafted Gregory Rousseau and Boogie Basham in the draft right after their first AFC title game loss to Kansas City, and still haven't found it. But I wonder what you think of the idea that the scheme could just generate more pressure as opposed to just having some dude with his hair on fire.
Here's the shock I'm going to give you. The Bills have been generating pressure for years. We have them 5th in pressure rate last year. Now, maybe they're doing it more through scheme, and now it's a different scheme. So maybe, Leonard does it differently than McDermott did it. But, they have actually had reasonable pressure. They've been average on sacks and good on pressure rate, despite the fact that they haven't had the guy.
Is there a distinction for you, that's important for you, between pressures and sacks or hits, or like what's the most useful way of tracking this?
Well, sacks are the best, right? I mean, you want to sack the quarterback, but in general, pressure will be more consistent from year to year than sacks will. The times you almost get to the quarterback and don't quite get there, and then the next year, a couple of those will turn into sacks, or if you get the quarterback a lot more than you would think you would, then a couple of years, the next year, a couple of them you'll just barely miss them. So pressure is usually a better way to predict the future than just raw sacks.
Mm-hmm. 36 sacks, I think it was, last year for the Bills defense. I'm not sure where that would have ranked them, but maybe, like you're saying, it was better than we thought.
With middle of the pack.
Middle of the pack, okay.
While we're on defense, Aaron, how about the secondary? You mentioned, I don't know, did you mention Gardner Johnson? I don't.
You did.
Yeah, you did. Okay, thank you. I just wanted to make sure I didn't, have that wrong. Cole Bishop seemed to be coming last year. We'll see maybe as soon as this year what his ceiling is. But they're a long way from Micah Hyde and Jordan Poyer holding down the back end. But it feels like maybe with Gardner Johnson here paired with, again, sort of maybe a breaking through candidate in Cole Bishop, that they're back on track to having a safety tandem that can really be counted on.
Yeah, I will say people in Cincinnati are not high on Geno Stone. They were happy to see him gone, so you probably don't want him to be playing a lot. But I'm still a big Benford fan. I still think he's one of the top corners in the league. Now, it's interesting. He's more of a zone corner, and I don't know if they want to play more man with Leonard as the defensive coordinator, so that might be interesting. But, at safety, they need Bishop.
We lose Aaron?
Sounds like we did, yeah.
It happened just when I hit a button, and so it felt like maybe I did something.
Yeah,
but
probably wasn't it, but I hate when that happens.
Yeah.
Because, it's
it me?
Something coincides with you having, hit a button. Aaron's back.
All right, Aaron.
Hi, I'm here. Hello.
We lost you for a second there. You were talking about the safety tandem.
Yeah, I was saying, if Bishop can take a step forward and C.J. Gardner-Johnson doesn't tick off his teammates, then they'll be in reasonable shape.
I have a question about defensive back play, but it isn't about the Bills. How statistically improbable is it to go an entire 17-game season without a single interception as a team like the Jets did?
Absurd.
Okay.
Absurd. In general, 20% of your passes defensed will turn into interceptions. It's not completely random the way fumble recovery is, right? There is such a thing as ball skills. Some guys just, do have ball skills, pick off more passes. But in general, we would have expected the Jets last year to pick off between 10 and 12 passes, and instead they ended up with 0. It is ridiculously absurd.
Well, what they need is a coach who played DB. That's what they need to figure out.
Yeah.
Get somebody who knows how to do this in there.
If only they could find one of those.
I know, right. Aaron Glenn. All right. So when you think about from your analysis, Aaron, the Bills overall, is there anything? I mean, we've talked about a particular stat already in pressures, and maybe there was a misconception about that. What else, if there is anything else, might people, to your ears, tend to maybe get a little bit wrong about the Bills?
I think people outside of Buffalo don't understand how good their offensive line has been and how good the running game has been and how important that's been to the offense. The people who are listening to my voice right now understand that, but the people who are not watching the Bills all the time, I think, nationally that's not necessarily as well known. I don't think people realize, how good Dawkins is, for example.
Yeah, and they've also been very healthy.
Right.
Last year, I know, as we went to training camp, our Sal Capaccio would come on and point out that not just healthy, but, consistency over years. Not only do they have all their starters back, but they even have all their backups back going into last season. This year, they lost David Edwards and maybe a backup or two as well that I'm not thinking of right now. But go ahead.
We track this thing called adjusted games lost. The Bills have been a top 3 team in lowest adjusted games lost on offense for 5 straight years.
Wow.
But they were 29th on defense. So they lost a ton of games to injuries on defense last year, but none on offense.
And that showed. I mean,
yeah, for sure.
It certainly was a talking point later on in the season that happened.
Would you anticipate, Aaron, that the offensive line continues to be a strength, even though there's going to be a new left guard? Mike mentions Edwards leaving, Alec Anderson, veteran Austin Corbett. These are people who are expected to compete for that job, but the rest is still all the same.
Yeah, I don't think those guys are considered to be as good as Edwards. But in general, I think, offensive line continuity is important, but changing one guy is not a huge big deal. What you don't want to do is change 4 guys at a time, and nobody's worked together before. But like you said, the rest of them have worked together before, and I don't see any reason to see the rest of them decline, based on, compared to last year.
Are you putting a win total on this team, Aaron, or all teams?
We do a projected mean wins. We project the season, 50,000 times, and the average number of wins that we come out with, because, everything when you project the NFL, it's the hardest sport to predict. So it's always, a range of possibilities. But we end up with the Bills at 10.0 wins, which is near the top of the league. I think it might be second in the AFC behind Houston. So we definitely like them this year. I mean, it helps that they're not going to be competing against a team with the easiest schedule in 30 years. That'll make things a little bit better for them.
Interesting how I think the Bills and Patriots schedules broke down this year. I mean, the Bills schedule looks pretty beastly. You have the Dolphins and the Jets. That's 4 of your games. They go to Vegas once. The other 12 are kind of all what's the next softest game on their schedule? At Minnesota, maybe some game like that, a Monday night. But the Bills get Houston, Baltimore, and the Rams. And the Patriots get Jacksonville, Pittsburgh, and Seattle, which I'm not sure that's a lot different. I mean, Pittsburgh winning the AFC North there is, I guess, a break on paper anyway to the Patriots. That's their opener, I think. Or no, Seattle's their opener. Maybe
Seattle
that's their second
is their
game.
opener.
That's right.
Yeah,
okay.
Based on our projections, there's definitely a difference between Pittsburgh and Baltimore.
Mm-hmm.
But otherwise, there's not much of a difference between those schedules. And we end up with the Bills with the number 11 projected schedule and the Patriots 14th. Yeah, the schedules aren't as hard as you think they are because they have all those games with the Jets and Dolphins on them.
11th easiest or 11th hardest?
11th hardest.
Okay. So what do you see from New England here? We've talked about this with 3 of us maybe a couple of months ago, but consensus, whether that's by the betting numbers or just other conversations we've had, thinking of Sam Monson last week and other experts who come on, kind of give New England, it's maybe not a coin flip, but like last year for the most part, really close to the Bills.
Yeah, we have them really close too. We have the Bills at 10.0 and the Patriots at 9.6. So I think the Patriots are going to be a better team that looks worse because of the schedule change. On offense, they'll probably regress a little bit just because they were so good last year. Drake May was so good last year. But I think their defense will improve. There's reasons to believe, that they've added some more defensive guys and that, they should the way that they were blitzing last year, it's the second year with the same defensive coordinator. Usually you take a little bit of a step forward your second year with the system. So we like their defense to be better and their offense a little worse. The whole team probably slightly better, but it'll look worse. And, yeah, those two teams are pretty neck and neck in a division that's really just two teams.
Sorry.
You can see a 1 in 200 chance where Geno Smith gets his groove back, and the Jets have added a bunch of reasonable veterans on defense, and suddenly they go 9-8. But that's about the highest. It's a 1 in 200 chance.
Family members and I, a few weeks ago, got together and pooled some money and built 10 8 division winner parlays, right? So you just have to all 8. And I was with my nephew Saturday, and we were talking about this and ran through a few of them. And I remember the conversation because, we did a few that were pretty chalky. And then, people are drinking and, hey, let's get the Titans in there. Or let's get – and we had one where we wanted to decide the Jets or the Dolphins. And the group said the Dolphins. I have a tougher time, maybe a much tougher time seeing Miami.
Me too.
Shock the world, so to speak, than the Jets.
It just feels like the Jets are trying more because they went out and signed all these reasonable veterans on defense and because there's no way they're going to have that few takeaways again. So their defense should be respectable. So, there is a chance that Geno Smith gets his groove back. It's just really unlikely because of his age. So, yeah, I would choose the Jets if I had to choose between those two. But it's fairly likely that those are two of the 5 or 6 worst teams in the league.
Yeah. I want to skip right back to the Patriots just for a moment and just ask you about A.J. Brown and what kind of impact you anticipate him having with New England, Aaron.
Yeah, he's really good still. I think everybody feels like he's really good still, that if his numbers dropped a little bit, it was because of the problems they had with the offense in Philadelphia. He still scores tremendously high in ESPN's receiver metrics that are based on the next-gen tracking. He gets open on all kinds of routes, inside, outside, deep, doesn't matter. Catches the ball well. Yards after the catch, basically everything. I know there's a little bit of worry about his knee, but the team doesn't seem to be too worried about it. So it's a great addition. Between that and Romeo Doubs, it's fantastic additions to their offense. And then don't sleep on Elijah Vera-Tucker, the new guard that they got from the Jets. He's fairly well regarded, except he just can't stay healthy. Mm-hmm. But if he can stay healthy, that's a nice upgrade for their offensive line.
Aaron, whether or not this is mostly a statistics-based answer or not, just curious for your perspective on the AFC quarterback landscape now, where we've for a few years had the relatively short conversation. Allen, Jackson, Mahomes, Burrow, all right. And now you have a landscape where there are at least that many names, twice as many as guys like that you mentioned. May already barely missed out on the MVP last year. How do you look at it? Allen is 30 now. They all have gotten a little bit older. Mahomes with the injury. Burrow's been hurt. Is it a turning point in this or not yet?
We'll have to see what happens with Mahomes. I have a feeling that he can't do some of the crazy Mahomes things, but I think he'll still play pretty well. To me, it's only 2 guys in the AFC that are challenging those 4. One is Herbert, and I'm not as down on Herbert as some of my writers are, but you do kind of want to see him finally do it. And I know people feel like with Mike McDaniel as his offensive coordinator, he's going to finally have a great season. But, let's see it before we crown the guy. And then with May, it's going to be harder on him this year. There's no question about it. There'll be a little bit of regression otherwise, but if he has another year where he's a top 6 or 7 quarterback, then he absolutely breaks into the discussion.
Yeah. Speaking of quarterbacks who need to break through, I know, and you've already referenced Houston being, having a higher total than the Bills. And I know from talking to you a few months ago that your numbers really like the Texans. How about Stroud within all of that? Because it seems like he took on a lot of water late last year.
Yes, in the playoffs. But in the regular season, C.J. Stroud was 11th in passing DVOA. I know that's crazy, right? It sounds nuts. The team stats got dragged down a little bit by the Davis Mills, even though Davis Mills won those games. But Stroud was actually reasonably good during the regular season and then horrible in the playoffs. But, I believe in general, professional athletes, psychology, these guys have a lot of confidence. And I just can't see Stroud going out there this year and going, well, I sucked in the playoffs, so my career's over. I guess I'm going to be terrible from now on. Like, he's going to go out there and be like, I was good in the regular season. I will now prove everybody wrong. And he's got a running game now and a little bit of a better offensive line. And I think that their offense is actually going to be above average this year.
Looking or thinking about the betting markets, the Rams are like the clear-cut Super Bowl favorite now. Last I looked, it was plus 550, and then the Bills and another team or two were second, like plus 1,000. So a pretty good gap there for a team that did not even make the Super Bowl as good as they were last year. Do you think it's warranted, Aaron?
Our numbers still have Seattle slightly ahead. I would put the Rams slightly ahead myself, but not that much ahead. I still think Seattle is going to be really good. Again, now if the Rams sign Aaron Donald again, if he comes out of retirement, I mean, they are clear super favorites. But I mean, I agree with them being favorites, but I guess I would just put other teams, Seattle and Houston, I'd put a little closer to them.
Who's your favorite long shot? Somebody in a division that is not being talked about?
Golly. I guess I feel like people don't realize how good Indianapolis was in the first half of the season. And I don't know what's going to happen with Daniel Jones and his ankle. And I don't know if their whole offense is going to fall apart. But they were fifth in DVOA for the whole season, even after losing Jones for 4 or 5 games. I don't remember exactly how many games it was. Like, they are a competitor. The problem with the AFC is that the bad teams are so bad that there's like 10 teams that are good enough to make the playoffs, and only 7 of them make the playoffs. The thing about the NFL this year is there are like 20 above average teams, not 16. It's just the bad teams are so bad that they drag the average down.
Arizona's at the top of that list, right? I mean, they're an underdog in every game on the preseason lines.
I think Arizona is a little bit better than people realize.
Okay.
I think they're more like the 28th best team in the league, not the 32nd best team. I realize that's damning with faint praise, but for people who like to put money on these things, some books have them on an over-under of 3.5 wins. I know they went 3-14 last year, but they were the most injured team in the league. 3.5 is really, really low, really low. And even if they lose all their division games, all they have to do is win 4 out of 11 of their other games, and they beat that.
I can't bring myself to draft the rookie, Love. Just thinking about, same with Achane kind of. It's a little bit risky because they both might. I mean, Achane's been great. But
yeah, I've asked Janty on the phone, and he agrees with you about that.
Right. Like, just if he's going to get hit behind the line of scrimmage on 2 out of 3 plays, what am I going to get out of Jeremiah Love? So
yeah, I mean, I think that that their offensive line is better than what Vegas had last year. But if you're the opponent, you're putting 8 guys in the box like constantly, not worried that Brissett is going to burn you, and it's going to be tough sledding for him. I mean, he'll put up the numbers just because he'll get up so many carries. But I think at the end of the year, we're going to say, oh, that was a disappointing season.
Yeah.
Aaron, before you go, I wanted to ask you about the Bengals because you've been on my mind when I make a certain point about them, how, it's been very easy and correct to say that their defense is really holding them back. There's only so much Burrow, Chase, and Higgins and that offense can do. How do you feel about them going into the season on that side of the ball? Because I remember from maybe even the first conversations I recall ever having with you years ago about how volatile defense can be. More so, if you're excellent, it doesn't mean you're going to be excellent year over year. But wouldn't the same maybe apply to if it's been bad? Just how about the Bengals?
Yeah, absolutely apply. Like, if you look in the Almanac, which is, the book that we put out, the preseason book, which is out now, if you look at it, you'll notice that the range of possible defensive values is smaller than the range of possible offensive values because the average of the possibilities is going to be closer to average because it's harder to predict defense. And so, we don't think Cincinnati's going to have a good defense, but it's probable that they're going to have a better defense than they did certainly in the first half of last year. And their offense should be very, very good. They have Burrow for all 17 games, and they have the easiest projected schedule in the league right now.
Yeah, favored in 15 out of 17, I think the number is. Aaron Schatz with us, FTN Fantasy. The almanac that you just mentioned again is out. What's the best way for you to have our listeners buy it?
Yeah, ftnfantasy.com/almanac, and there is a sample chapter there. So if you want to see what the almanac is all about, you can read about the Indianapolis Colts and what we think about them. And, of course, there's also all the fantasy projections in there and the comments on all the skill position players. And you can also get it at Amazon. Just search for FTN Football Almanac 2026.
Also, FTN Fantasy has a fun fantasy simulation game.
Yes, we have the new fantasy simulator where you get to pick a fantasy team. It gives you teams to pick, and then you have to pick the players to try to have a perfect fantasy season.
I went out in the first round of the playoffs. I got stuck with Travis Kelce.
That's why you play it 20 times. It could be it could be worse. There are worse tight ends to own.
Oh, yeah. No, but when you get down to that last slot, you got to nail it. Maybe. All right. Yeah. Congratulations on another year with the Almanac, Aaron, and thanks as always for your time today.
Hey, thanks for having me on, guys, and I hope people will check out the book.
Very good. Aaron Schatz, Schatz, that's SCHATZ NFL on Twitter. Z, another way to say it, Zed.
Sure.
Sal coming up at 5, the Bills' new alternate uniform and helmet. The big story today. Lines open for your reaction, 803-0550. Mike Schopp and the Bulldog, WGR. Tony and the crew at Empire Electric are
It has been the discussion topic for most of today, but the Bills do have new alternate jerseys. They unveiled them today. They have been dubbed the Nickel City jerseys, and for more on those, we do have a piece up at our website, WGR550.com. And then tomorrow is the day. Veterans are going to report to camp, with Wednesday being the first practice. And for more, stay tuned. Sal Capaccio going to join the show in just about a half hour at 5 p.m. Around the rest of the league, Chiefs offense coordinator Eric Bieniemy, his wife Mia, was shot Sunday evening at their home in Virginia. She is currently in stable condition and being treated for serious wounds, but the Bieniemy son Elijah was arrested and has been charged with malicious wounding, use of a firearm in commission of a felony, and discharge of a firearm inside of a dwelling. And then over in college, North Carolina general manager Mike Lombardi has been placed on paid administrative leave following a human resources complaint filed by a former North Carolina front office worker. The administrative leave is due to the pending investigation. And then in baseball, Blue Jays at Washington at 6:45. The Mets host the Braves at 7:10, and the Yankees, they're at the White Sox. First pitch for that one at 7:40. That's your Paddock Chevrolet Sports Headlines. Paddock Chevrolet with you for the extra mile since 1935. I'm Zach Jones for Western New York's Voice of the Fan, WGR.
Here's the shock I'm going to give you. The Bills have been generating pressure for years. We have them fifth in pressure rate last year. Now, maybe they're doing it more through scheme, and now it's a different scheme. You know, Leonard does it differently than McDermott did it. But, yeah, they have actually had reasonable pressure. They've been average on sacks and good on pressure rate, despite the fact that they haven't had the guy.
Aaron Schatz with us just a short bit ago from FTN Fantasy. The FTN Football Almanac is out, an annual production of his. He, like many, expect the Bills to be good in 2026. He's calling it.
Despite whatever they're going to wear.
Despite their clothes.
Whenever they're going to wear whatever they're going to wear.
Have you thought at all, talking about this uniform and reading about it today and hearing reactions, that you might have been surprised to like it? Not based on once you found out what it was going to look like, but just there's a part of me that just I feel like with this kind of thing, I might be hard to impress. And I might think it's, well, I really don't, but, you know, people calling in talking about, why didn't they just do this? Well, whatever that question was, there's an answer to it. They didn't use your idea. And I think this is going over pretty badly today, but I mean, new stuff. Can I get away with this? At the same time, I have no problem with a team's decision to trick up their look. I mean, they're going to sell it. Why not make it? I'm not such a traditionalist that they all have to look like the original six in hockey every night. But I also think, you know, careful if you're messing with a good thing. I mean, the Bills have a classic look that has served them very well for decades. You know, this isn't a green jersey. This isn't complete diversion. As we read from their release, it is what was it again? It's an already utilized brand color.
Correct. Yeah.
I hate that so much. I feel like now I wish I just not remembered it. But anyway, I mean, it's different, and that is riskier, you know, than just, why didn't they just wear the throwback colors? It's not that different.
I'm just to restate here, I don't know, you know, get the conversation going again. Calls are welcomed at 803-0550 if you want to voice your opinion about this. Nothing about the jersey being revealed today was surprising or jarring because we'd seen it, and I had like a 0.5% chance that the whole leak was a ruse and they were going to show us something completely different today. Like there was some chance. At 9:30, I was on Twitter waiting because I wanted to see, like, is it going to be the thing that I think it's going to be, or did they just, you know, get everybody mad and here comes like the Bruce Smith uniforms or something? Like I had a little bit of curiosity. I doubted it severely, thus the 0.5% chance or 1% chance that I was willing to give it. The stuff itself, I'm not mad that they didn't go back to the 90s. I'm not mad that they didn't go with a red helmet. I'm not, like, none of that is, to me, offensive. You are living in a new era. You're going into a new stadium. I want to say I admire, I definitely respect the effort to do something different. And this is not, to me, I would not use the word, the helmet will take a lot of getting used to. But I don't consider the jersey and the uniform itself an abomination or anything that strong at all. I wouldn't say I love it. It's not my favorite gear that they'll ever wear, but it's not offensive to me. The helmet is jarring, and the helmet doesn't really work with the style of what they came up with. And that's the part that I'm having a hard time from a just purely aesthetic standpoint. My bigger issue was I'd be better off not having read the descriptions and watched the video that just goes so hard at, our blue-collar heritage. It just doesn't feel like the time to lean into that when you're moving into a new multi-billion-dollar home that costs more than ever for people to go to. The time is just weird.
You could have leaned into, like, the rich people. How about a team finally acknowledging the rich people?
Thank God you people could pay for all this stuff. Yeah.
I mean, you're never going to see that.
No.
Just, different is it's what happens. Change is, it's all, you can't fight it too hard, waste your life just fighting against change. But I was watching the Twins recently, you heard of them? The Minnesota Twins. And I'd never seen them in this new alternate uniform of theirs. And the hat looks like the Marlins to me. It's like black with sort of an M that's shaped like the Marlins M. And
I've seen this and was also, confused is maybe strong, but just like, what's going on there?
And I have seen the Twins somehow like 4 times in the last month or so. And every time I see them and they're wearing that uniform, I think I'm watching the Marlins. Like, it does. So that's one thing I think you want to avoid, looking like a certain other team.
Right.
But
does this not have some Lionsy vibes here? The gray?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. The Bills are going to have blue socks. The Lions have gray socks and they're gray uniforms. I think they're both really ugly. But, I'm just one person. So I texted Matt Collar at the time I was watching the Twins, like, did the Twins really want to look like the Marlins? Is that a thing that you would respect if they did? Like, why would you want to look like the Marlins? Just, the hat at least. And he said the simple thing, like we're talking. You pretty much, when you get it right, don't mess with it.
Right.
You think about Kirby Puckett running the bases in the Metrodome after that home run against the Braves. Like, there's your uniform, Twins. And I know you want to sell other ones, but really, it's okay to look like that. You don't have to try so hard to. And the Bills have a uniform like that where they're immediately recognizable with the helmet. I mean, they're immediately recognizable.
Yeah. And that always is a pull. Really, I think it doesn't matter what age you are. Whatever the thing they were, we went through this with the return of the black and red with the Sabres, because a generation of people, we were working with many of them at the time, they grew up with those, so though they feel as attached to the black and red as we did when we fell in love with the Sabres when we were 8, because they were wearing blue and gold. And so everything becomes can be new again, or even welcome back and lauded, because some part of the fan base is going to identify with it. That's always going to happen. So I don't need everything to be a revamp or any kind of a refreshing of the classics. Strive to do something new. That's fine. And as much as there's all this noise about this today and maybe for the foreseeable future, I bet they sell a crap ton of this stuff. They always do. The team is going to wear it. I mean, I don't know how sales for the Winter Soldier stuff went last year, the white stuff they wore against New England. But I know what most of the pushback I ever saw about that was after they lost New England in it, and then it became, don't ever wear these again. Whereas if they had beaten New England that day in some way, shape, or form, we would have loved them.
Maybe, yeah.
I mean, again,
I like those uniforms.
This is not, me too. This is not an across the board. I'm making generalizations, obviously, that don't apply to every single person. But mostly, I think that shapes a lot of it. So what? There's all this pushback that will make a certain kind of fan want to buy it and wear it all the more. Like, shut up, you complainers. You complain about, I'm fine. You've got the wording. I've got the messaging overall with the blue collar stuff. I'm always going to find a crack in there to complain. And if you want people like us to shut up, a way that you will, I think, display that is buying this stuff.
Yeah, but we never do. Just know that.
Right.
Out there, if you're that guy. We never do.
You can't win.
We're never going to shut up.
You can't win. You're not going to be. But, until they pull us out of here by our hair.
And somebody else will do the same thing.
Somebody else will be in here doing the same damn thing.
It's a prerequisite.
It's just how it goes. But look, I'm not complaining just to complain. I'm telling you my honest reaction to that video and the wording and the leaning into the blue collar stuff at this moment in time for the franchise just didn't land well on me. I'm just one dude, and I happen to have a microphone.
Here's Tom with us. Hi, Tom. Tom? No. Jason instead. Hi, Jason.
Hey, how's it going, guys?
Good, Jason. Thank you.
Hey, Bulldog, I totally agree, man. I looked at my phone this morning. I'm getting all these texts from my boys, and they're saying something big's happening. I'm thinking it's got to be a trade or a player. And then I get the text with all the things. It's a New Jersey concept, and I just wanted to get your guys' thoughts. I don't know if I don't get it. And I don't know, and I was talking to people afterwards, is it a concept because of the color of the new stadium? Is it something that they were thinking about, maybe going forward? The Jets, obviously, they just released their new helmets, whatever, this year. Mm-hmm. So I just wanted to get your guys' thoughts on it. Do we get the concept, and do you guys think that this is going to be moving forward in the next couple of years? Thanks so much, guys.
I would think that they're not a one-year alternate, but depends how popular they are. Do I get, the Nickel City? It's called the Nickel City uniform. Why is Buffalo the Nickel City? Because 100 years ago, there were nickels with
buffaloes on them, bisons on
right.
them. Right.
Yeah. I mean, it wasn't anything specific to this place, but there were nickels with buffalo, and that was the Buffalo nickel, and then we were the Nickel City, I guess. That's where Bulldog's, reaction to this, I think, really sort of fits, is if it's a particular extra effort to play up blue-collar traditions and workers and all of that, and sort of like a gray uniform is supposed to align with that. To me, that just seems pretty cheap. And, okay, we're the Nickel City because there was a buffalo on a nickel. I mean, no buffalo has ever even been to Western New York. No real one. Statues, I guess, now, but no buffalo has ever roamed this part of the world, to my knowledge. I mean, I've never seen one. You think you're looking at me like maybe you think I'm wrong?
No, I don't. I'm just waiting to say
we're Buffalo because it's a beautiful river.
I see them every day at the zoo, but
Okay, all right. Well, does zoo count? Fine.
Yeah, but they're not. No, they're not. They're not roaming along the interstate like they would be in Wyoming.
No. Yeah. Exactly.
Is that what you were going for? Yeah.
Yes, Buffalo is Beau Fleuve. It's a beautiful river. That's history lessons today. Maybe I need a couple. Sal's coming up at 5. Camp starts tomorrow. The players report anyway. First practice is Wednesday. Mike Schopp and the Bulldog at 803-0550. This is WGR.
Hey, man, Bulldog here. There are some things
just looking at my phone, noticing that I don't have anybody in my contacts who has a birthday today. It's just completely blank. But I saw that it was Brandon Bean's birthday, which all just adds up to I do not have Brandon Bean's contact information.
Let's make one up.
Make up a phone number?
Make up a phone number. For Brandon Bean, they have a contact for I don't know.
I have a couple of friends who are not on Facebook that I have their birthdays entered into my phone, like just manually.
Yeah.
There's nothing automatic for it, like if they were on Facebook.
Okay, yeah.
Right? Like my birthday would be in your phone.
Sure, my phone's got
Facebook friends.
Got a bunch of that, yeah.
So happy birthday to the Bills GM. I don't have your number.
And that's just how he likes it.
Me too.
Right.
We're both happier this way. I don't know. I don't even mean that. Sal Capaccio next.
It's been the talk of the town today by the Buffalo Bills. They do have a new alternate jersey. They unveiled it today, and they have dubbed it the Nickel City jersey. For more on that, we do have a piece up at our website, WGR550.com. And then tomorrow is the day. Veterans going to report to training camp, with Wednesday being the first practice. And for more, do stay tuned. Sal Capaccio joining the show next. To the NFL, Chiefs offensive coordinator Eric Bieniemy, his wife Mia, was shot Sunday evening at their home in Virginia. She is currently in stable condition and being treated for serious wounds. But Bieniemy's son Elijah was arrested and has been charged with malicious wounding, use of a firearm in commission of a felony, and discharge of a firearm inside a dwelling. Over to Packers camp. A little bit of a weird one here. Micah Parsons not on PUP to start camp after suffering a torn ACL in December, but it does appear this is going to be temporary, according to Mike Garafolo. Seems to be more of a timing issue there. Garafolo reports that Parsons is expected to be placed on PUP tomorrow. And then in college, North Carolina GM Mike Lombardi has been placed on paid administrative leave following a human resources complaint filed by a former North Carolina University front office worker. The administrative leave is due to a pending investigation. Then in baseball, Blue Jays at Washington at 6:45. The Mets host the Braves at 7:10. And the Yankees, they are at the White Sox at 7:40. That's your Paddock Chevrolet Sports Update. Paddock Chevrolet with you for the extra mile since 1935. I'm Zach Jones for Western New York's Voice of the Fan, WGR.
All right, just in time for training camp. New uniforms. To some controversy, Bulldog, would you agree today? The helmets, the uniforms, the whole thing?
There's been some things said.
Been a lot of things said.
Today, yeah. There's been some things said.
A lot of negativity toward these this new look. Sal Capaccio with us now on the West Her Hotline. I know, Sal, you were up in Canada for much of today. Were you out of the firing line on this one, or what exactly?
I mean, still poking in on it. We did a podcast last night and talked a lot about it at length. Matt Bove and I, so you can check that out. We gave our thoughts on it and what we kind of thought about it while we were live, and you can, watch the recorded version. I was with some people today. It's for Zach Hyman's event up there, and and he's a big Bills fan, and people were talking about the uniforms a little bit with me throughout the day. It was going on some Toronto media members that we all know, and so I guess I got a little bit of it, but not quite to the level you guys did. Being on social today. I guess
I watched your podcast. I think I started when it started, and then I paused, so whatever. But I watched it, and I thought it was interesting that you and Matt both had the opposite view of the two like there's the jerseys, the uniform itself, and then the helmet. And if I've got it right, Matt loves the helmet but doesn't really like the uniform, and you were more like me, or this is what you said last night. Like, I kind of like the gray. I'm not against the gray. I kind of like it. The helmet with it, I'm really struggling with.
Yeah, I don't love the helmet. I love having. I think you're in Buffalo. To me, a Buffalo Bills helmet should have a buffalo on it. But I understand you want something unique and different. Like, I understand the perspective of wanting something like that, but it just didn't hit right with me. Not having a buffalo on it. That being said, the Charge logo, that stripe, has been a predominant theme really since the start of the building of the new stadium. Even the mesh that's gone in the new stadium, that wind confusion mesh. It's the Charge is the holes. Basically, it's the shape of that. When you walk through the stadium, you see that. So I understand, why they did that. The jersey itself, I don't mind gray. And as I said in the pod last night, like I'm kind of a traditionalist when it comes to uniforms. I don't love all these new uniforms everybody has all the time. Like, Oregon was the first, college team several years ago, just have all these incredibly new uniforms all the time.
Every week.
And it's like, there's too much, right? Like, I don't mind a third or a little bit of a different spin on something, but I'm kind of a traditionalist. In fact, it's kind of funny. Like, I went to Syracuse, and Syracuse and Penn State for many years were rivals, but I actually love Penn State's uniforms because they're clean. They're just all white or all blue. And the gray is fine with me like that. And when I saw a picture of a Bills player, I don't know if it was AI or a real picture, like before the unveil today, I said, oh, that actually looks really good. I like that. It is not just sitting on a rack at a hanger where you don't get the full effect. But, yeah, I guess the helmet for me was what I didn't love. But Matt loved the helmet a lot more. Like, he really thought that was cool. And I guess it just goes to – it's just like music taste, right? Whatever hits your eyes, your taste buds, your ears.
Your favorite wing place or whatever. Yeah. Someone – I don't think it was Matt, but I saw today – I'd give credit if I could think of who said it. But basically, they put – you mentioned Oregon and Penn State in the same breath here. They put an Oregon helmet on a Penn State uniform. Is kind of what has happened here, and that's interesting. That's a bit of a weird fit to me. Like I think I might like everything more if the uniform, even though I like the gray, if the uniform were less traditional to go with the very non-traditional helmet, that would maybe make sense to me. So would a more traditional helmet with what is a pretty traditional looking uniform aside from the color.
Yeah, I totally get it. It seems like it's more of a modern and traditional mixing together, right? And maybe you want one or the other. And like I said, you want to go with a new uniform here, there. I'm totally cool with it. I have my own thoughts on what like good new uniforms look like and what get people riled up and jazzed up. And to me, and I don't know if the Bills have ever considered this, but it seems like getting a black uniform is a cool thing. Like the Eagles have done it, and the Ravens have done it, and the Dolphins now, what do they want to call their really
midnight
dark blue, whatever, it's black, right? Yeah, the Jets have done it. It just feels like that's something that, the Texans and their real dark blue, something like that. So, but hey, I mean, everybody's got their own thought on it, and you're never going to please everybody. We know that no matter what you do, and I think the Bills know that as well. But yeah, I mean, we'll see how it looks once they trot out on the field, and I agree 100% with your point that you said that, like, once they wear them and Josh Allen's wearing it on the field, like, people will be like, oh, yeah, that's really cool. I want one.
They probably should have known already that they can't please everyone, but they found out today if they didn't. You mentioned Penn State. I can never place the name of the magazine, but I, for some reason, still remember this well and have brought it up before. There was an oversized, in the 80s, an oversized sports magazine that had a ranking of college football uniforms. And they had the 10 best and the 10 worst. And number one among the best, Penn State. And just a brief description of each one, something like the definition of class. And then they had the list of the 10 worst. Number one, Penn State. Can't you think of anything? Can't you just think of anything literally at all to put on that helmet? Nothing? Okay, that's the best you can do. Great program.
There you go.
Sal Capaccio on the West Shore Hotline. I mean, I grew up as a kid that would draw the logos and loved helmets and uniforms and all of it. And the Bills have mostly had that same image on their helmets ever since. I mean, since what, the late 70s or mid-70s when they switched to the Buffalo with the charging stripe. I don't think I've ever really heard it referred to by name. I mean, I haven't been to the new stadium yet to see this thing, like this whole
charge
imaging.
Yeah.
Like I just never even would have thought that the stripe itself
had a name.
Could be like a logo almost, basically. Like could even be this. And I don't know, it just looks so. I've never thought to separate it from the buffalo on the Bills logo. It's just like it's there. It's key to drawing it correctly to know just sort of like
what angle to put it at. And, right.
Yes, but I'm not even like the least bit familiar with that alone without the animal as like any part of the Bills brand, but it is now.
But I think it evolves over the years, right? Maybe it never was, and then it became kind of a thing, right? Where you're like, oh, they started building the stadium, and hey, you know what? We need this mesh in the holes inside the whatever you want to call it, the steel or however.
Yep.
Yeah, and then someone came up with the idea of, like, why don't we do the Charge logo, like, or Little Buffaloes or something, right? And yeah, the Charge logo's cool instead of just something square. So that became a thing, right? I remember when the Dolphins changed the look of the dolphin himself going through the hoop or whatever it was. Mm-hmm. Like, he went from being a happy dolphin to a mean dolphin, right? And that was on purpose. Like, little things like that can matter sometimes, just that little tiny tweak. And yeah, I think the Charge, the logo, has kind of become a thing, even if it wasn't an actual thing many years ago.
Fair enough.
Sorry, you got me thinking about the dolphin logo used to look like a dolphin performing at a water park. Like, I'm happy, I'm jumping through the hoop, and then they changed it to like more aggressive. I can only imagine what the wording in the press release for that looked like or read like.
Right.
But yeah, it was like more streamlined and like it's attacking. It's hunting prey or something, as opposed to just trying to please everybody, which is what the original logo probably was. Too nice.
Now they took the helmet off it on the Dolphins logo.
Right.
They removed the helmet with the M on it. All right, well, we have something new to argue about. Sal Capaccio with us. Training camp this week. We are just about here. So what's the schedule tomorrow? Just players report and then on the field Wednesday?
Yeah, so players report, and then that's when they'll do their testing, guys. I mean, like, that's the first day because, we know that because they can't test on Wednesday. There's practice on Wednesday morning. They're not going to be out there doing that, I wouldn't think, at like 6 a.m. So they'll do their physicals and stuff tomorrow and their testing. And if people don't pass that and, aren't in a position to be able to practice, we'll find that out. Now, it could be tomorrow night we find that out. It could be Wednesday morning. I think generally, since, I've been covering the Bills, at least now it is a different regime, but, Brandon Beane's still there, obviously Joe Brady, but it's generally been we find out the morning of. But it has happened the night of, the night before, whereas you find out someone's on PUP, you find out someone's on, got an issue, they didn't pass a physical, physically unable to perform in some capacity. So that's what happens tomorrow, and then Wednesday morning we will hear from Joe Brady at 8 a.m. They'll be on the practice field at 8:30, and then Brandon Beane will speak afterward.
Do you have top of mind guys who maybe went through the spring stuff with various ailments? I feel like Dorian Williams would be at the top of such a list, that like guys you're kind of on the lookout to hear a clean bill of health or something else on.
Yeah, I think the number one guy for me would be Michael Hoyt, actually, because of kind of his progression through the offseason from the OTAs, minicamp, where he was last year with the injury, and him saying, like, my goal is to be ready for training camp. Like, and I say that number one for me because I'm just curious, like, is he ready already? So I mean, if he is, I think it's remarkable, to be quite honest with you.
Happens now,
Yeah,
Sal,
right. And but
Daniel Jones today said he was going to be ready. He tore his Achilles late.
Yeah, that's right. And I mean, we'll see about him. So to me, that's the number one, like, intriguing thing. Mm-hmm. At some point, Michael Hoyt's going to come back as long as he didn't have a setback. So that could be a week into training camp. That could be at the end of the preseason, in the regular season. And then, Dorian Williams is the one that this showed up during mini camp when he did not perform, and we knew he was on crutches and saw him, but he was at a couple of events over the last couple months. One of them was the Poncho's Army meat raffle that I attended. I know he was seen at the Taste of Country by a couple people. He was not using crutches, which is a really good sign. That doesn't mean he's ready to play, but I'm encouraged by that. We'll see what happens with him. Cole Bishop had something cleaned up in his knee and did not perform at all during OTAs and minicamp. He was very certain that he would be ready to go. He said he was staying in Buffalo to rehab, basically, to make sure that everything was, good to go by the time he got there. So those are a few of the guys. Joshua Palmer did actually participate in minicamp after missing most of OTAs, if not all of them. So, that's another guy you kind of on the lookout for. And I think there's just the usual suspects of, are these guys healthy? Are they good? Dalton Kincaid, the load management stuff that came up with him. Not that we're expecting anything, to be wrong tomorrow, but just the thing you're looking for. And is he healthy enough? Is he taking a full amount of reps? Max Harrison, after having his injury last year, early in the season, late in the season, and then, coming back, and he was at OTAs and minicamp. So just guys like that you're kind of on the lookout for.
Might want to get back to Kincaid. He was the first name I thought of for this, but although he's not coming off like an injury exactly. But, it's always kind of part of the story with him. But Palmer, I wrote down for Sal's visit today, just in my notes here, before I forget, Joshua Palmer. That's it. Just I wanted to make sure I remembered Joshua Palmer, because he's this year's Curtis Samuel to me, somebody that I just –
Yeah.
It's always Coleman. It's always DJ Moore. It's always, Shakir and whoever else. But, okay, right, Palmer. So this will be for Wednesday, if he's healthy at least. This will be for Wednesday. Is like – I mean, maybe this is the kind of thing that you're not supposed to share, maybe? Like, just who's with Allen, who's with the ones? Maybe, Palmer could be news either way on that one.
Yeah, Mike, I mean, he did perform. He was available during minicamp. So I'll say this. If he's not available Wednesday, that's a huge red flag. I mean, he was out for OTAs. He came back from minicamp. And then suddenly, he's out again? Like, you're like, okay, you just can't count on this guy, and you have to start thinking about alternate plans then. For me, the story with Josh Palmer is more of a, I guess I'll call it long-term, like through training camp. Like at the end of camp, where's Josh Palmer? Not at the beginning. I want to know, what is his role? How does he look? What does that group look like? But he's in the group with Keon Coleman for totally different reasons. It's not an injury situation with Keon Coleman. It's doing everything right. Is he making plays? Does he look like a third-year, 33rd pick overall of the NFL draft, right? I mean, like, that's what I'm looking for. Those two guys are really, really key members of the offense and how the offense will be structured from a roster standpoint, because you got Skylar Bell right behind them knocking on the door. Oh, by the way, let's add him to the list. Skylar Bell he was not at minicamp. I think people forget about that. I just forgot about that talking about it. He had an injury at minicamp, but he was inside working with trainers in the jugs machine. I'm not too concerned, but he's a rookie and he wasn't out there. So once you go beyond Moore and Shakir, there are question marks all throughout the rest of the wide receiver group. And honestly, like, it's a really big swing depending on how many of those guys are healthy and look good and can do what you need them to do versus how many guys don't.
Yeah, and if I wasn't specific enough, I just want to know if he starts, if he's it's not the lineup, but if he's like on the field for the first team reps, or is that Coleman instead, or whoever that might be instead, like Palmer, assuming he's healthy enough to participate. All right, is he a starter? That's all question.
Well, I feel like it would be big news if he weren't. I think.
Yeah, let me ask you guys this: if he's not, does that say more about Josh? If he is or he isn't, I should say, does it say more about Josh Palmer or Keon Coleman? How that goes?
Right,
well, that depends.
I guess if Coleman's in Palmer's spot, like, if that's obviously stock way up on Coleman, maybe stock down on Palmer, and then we start talking about Brandon Cooks every day.
That's right. I just think those two guys are so interesting. The most interesting person at this camp, I think, is, for this year is Keon Coleman right now because of all this. It's just so much of kind of how that group looks really kind of hinges on, I think, how he looks, what he does, how he performs. And quite honestly, we might not know that until the regular season begins. And that's what's going to be maybe frustrating about all of it, because even if he looks great over the next 4 weeks, it is very, very fair for any person to say, I don't care, show me the regular season.
Sal, on Kincaid, I don't know if you'd have a number at the ready, but listed 6'4", 240, right? And then we get through a season and he's banged up and we need him stronger, or just, I don't know.
Bigger, yeah.
Whatever it is, that'll be a story too. I mean, if he's healthy, great. You'd want to see that. But then also, like, is he different? Is he bigger? Is he different? I mean, is there a weight or a certain thought you have on what's ideal?
I don't know about a certain number as far as a weight, as you say. I will say that, like, standing next to him during minicamp after practices, I think he looked like an NFL tight end. Like, he looked bigger. He looked more like, he's not Dawson, right? But he looked more like Dawson Knox than he did a wide receiver coming into the league. Like, that's a good thing. He looks like he put on strength and muscle. Now, I think we said that last year about him. It's not that, though. It's the knee that was bothersome. But the other thing, he wasn't wearing a knee brace those last few days, which was really good as well. But I do think he looked bigger. And guys, I actually think he blocked pretty well last year when he was asked to do that. He's not always digging guys out of the box, but he's on the perimeter sometimes, and he does a nice job. And, I think sometimes it's unfair to think about, well, he's got to be a really good blocker. Yes, that's true, but he's not. Like, he doesn't have to be an inline, hand-on-the-ground, down-blocking blocker, but he's got to be willing and capable and to be able to go against guys that are, his size or less and make sure that he wins that rep. And I think he did a good job of that last year when he was on the field.
I remember certainly the opener. I mean, it's a long season. There were 16 other games, but I remember a couple of plays early in the Baltimore game where he was very aggressive with DBs at the sideline, and I'm sure we talked about it then. That it seemed like he was trying to make an impression, at least, that he's willing and able to perform that if asked.
And he is, and I think he is. I think part of it is on the team, though, and rightfully so. They probably have concerns about if we do that too much, what are we doing to his body?
Right.
Like, we need him available to catch passes and run down the field. And I think there's a delicate balance there, but that's the kind of thing that we're all talking about here and how that works out. Now, look, he had his 5th-year option picked up, which is not this year but next year. So he's under contract for 2 more years. They have an investment in him. They want to see that through. They want to keep him healthy, but he's also got to be able to do all of those kinds of things to justify kind of that investment they're putting in him.
Always one for me where I feel like I'm getting stuck at every turn. You know, he catches the ball. He's talented. When he is running routes, he gets the ball. I mean, for a tight end, he ranks high in those areas.
Mm-hmm.
But if I need him to be bigger so that when he's on the field, I can have him put his hand down and block on, in the running game so that teams don't know what I'm doing because they throw almost 80% of the time when he's on the field, right, without knocks.
Yep.
The coaches they hate that stuff. They don't want to give it away.
Right.
I've got Jackson Hawes over here, who can just road grader type, and he was a little bit interesting as a receiver as well. A lot has to go right, just for the player physically, and then also for the fit, because it just has never really been smooth with him. There have been good moments, but it's just never really been smooth. So we'll see if this year is any different in that way. There's one where I need to get to week 1. I mean, whatever happens that changes that between now and week 1 would only be negative. It'd be like, well, he's missing practice or whatever that is. But just like you said about Coleman, got to get me to the season and
that's right.
See what it looks like then. All right. Anything else on your mind for tomorrow and for Wednesday? I guess maybe more importantly with Brady in his first training camp as the head coach. And whatever else.
Yeah, Mike mentions that with Brady's first time. I'm curious if we'll get the welcome to training camp speech on social media from them with Brady. I'm just curious because a part of my sort of concern is even not appropriate. It's just I'm curious, how comfortable he is and how well, because it's not the easiest thing in the world to captivate. In this case, it's going to be, 90 guys, not just your 53 plus the practice squad like it would be in the regular season. And, I watched a clip, I don't know if you saw it, Sal, last week with the Giants starting up earlier. I watched John Harbaugh, who's done that 18 times with the Baltimore Ravens, and it felt like an SNL skit. It just seemed really flat and weird and, and that's someone who's done it, again, almost 20 different times as a head coach of a team. It's not, I just don't assume that that's going to go, great.
I have not seen that. Now you gave me some homework to do tonight and go watch that from John Harbaugh, so I'll check that out later today. Yeah, I mean, Joe, I think I'll say this about Joe Brady. He seems more and more comfortable in front of a mic or behind it talking to the media, as he goes on here. We all know he's a super energetic guy, and he's willing to kind of just talk, more than McDermott being open. And even during the draft, guys, I don't know if you know this, but, the 3 days that we were down there, the Thursday, the Friday, and then the Saturday, well before the draft actually started, Joe Brady just walked in the media room hey, buddy, how you doing? What do you guys think about tonight? You know what I mean? He's just – I think he's comfortable being like that. So – I think that if he wants to give some sort of rah-rah speech, welcome to training camp, I think he's up for it. And I think the reviews from his players and all the podcasts they're doing, all the things you hear about him, that they love, the energy that he brings right there. So I think that'll be fine for him. For me, you asked me what I'm thinking about, what I'm looking at. Yeah, that's a little part of it. It's a new defense. It's first time in 10 years the Bills have had a new defense. They have a new defensive coordinator. I mean, I know the names have changed and Leslie Frazier with all that, but
yeah.
This is Jim Leonard's show, man. And I'm really interested to see how that starts to come together because we have not seen that in 10 years.
Also, plenty of new numbers. Make sure you have what you need to know.
Scorecard.
A scorecard, right. Including Tyler Bass, who maybe sold his number 2 to DJ Moore and now is wearing number 16. So look for Tyler Bass. There's another guy we haven't seen in a while.
I was playing golf today with Carlo Koliakovo, and I said, what do you think about Bobrovsky not giving up the number to Gavin McKenna? You guys heard about that controversy, right, or that story? It's the Leafs fans, he's not – Bobrovsky – so what number is it,
72.
2, thank you, 72, sorry about that. And he says so Bobrovsky comes and McKenna's worn 72, but that's been Bobrovsky's number. Fans are oh, yeah, good to McKenna. I guess Bob Rossi's like, no, that's my number. And I think some fans, like, he's not ingratiating himself. But Carlo's opinion, I believe, was, no, I get it. Like, Bob Roski wants it, like, he's the veteran or whatever. But that is an interesting dynamic, right? The guy's been there for a while. I know he's a kicker, Tyler Bass, but here's a guy that's had some success here in Buffalo, and he decides, no, I'll give that to DJ Moore.
Maybe Bobrovsky doesn't need, like, a new car or a fridge that he would probably be able to negotiate for. I know the kid's just in the league, but still. All right, Sal, thanks for today, and we'll probably want to reach out tomorrow, too, with the first day.
You got it, guys. Thanks.
That's our Sal Capaccio on the Western Hotline. His appearances are always brought to you by New York's only outlet liquor. When you need to stock up, it's the place to buy a case. What's your outlet?
Maybe stock up for when you turn on the Bills and they're wearing gray.
Right. And some crazy blue helmet.
Of all colors, gray. Barely a color. I don't know. Not a fan. 803-0550 for your thoughts. Mike Schopp and the Bulldog here, WGR.
The Bills' new alternate jerseys, as they were unveiled today, they have been dubbed the Nickel City jerseys. For more on those, we do have a piece up at our website, WGR550.com. And then tomorrow is the day veterans are going to report to training camp, with Wednesday being the first practice of training camp. Around the rest of the league, Chiefs offensive coordinator Eric Bieniemy's wife, Mia, was shot Sunday evening at their home in Virginia. She is currently in stable condition, but is being treated for serious wounds. And the Bieniemy's son, Elijah, was arrested and has been charged with malicious wounding, use of a firearm in commission of a felony, and discharge of a firearm inside of a dwelling. To Packers camp, Micah Parsons not on the PUP list to start training camp after suffering a torn ACL in December, but this is not a miracle of modern medicine. It does appear to be more of a timing issue, and it will be temporary, according to Mike Garafolo, who reports that Parsons is expected to be placed on PUP tomorrow. Then in baseball, Blue Jays are at Washington. That one at 6:45. Mets host the Braves at 7:10, and then the Yankees, they're at the White Sox. First pitch with that one is at 7:40. That's Paddock Chevrolet Sports Headlines. Paddock Chevrolet with you for the extra mile since 1935. I'm Zach Jones for Western New York's Voice of the Fan, WGR.
I can do everything. There's nothing that I can't do. I think, there's still that last little bit that you're working to get back, but I feel good in the next, month or so as I get into team drills, 11 on 11, doing everything again of that, coming back and feeling 100%. So, like I said, continue to work with the trainers here and strength staff, all the things I need to do to get there, but feeling really good.
Daniel Jones. I think his injury came pretty late in their season, Indianapolis. Sal mentioning Michael Hoyt. First name when asked about who to sort of look for in the next couple of days and news on players that may be injured. Hoyt had a torn Achilles. It was against Kansas City.
Right.
In week 9 last year, November 2nd. Achilles, it really, I think, has changed.
Yep.
And it doesn't seem like the exception anymore, Daniel Jones. It seems like the rule now is that it's like an 8-month injury.
When Rodgers got hurt on opening night 3 years ago, it seemed insane to be considering like it felt like this is a Rodgers production. It's a publicity stunt. He just wants us to talk about him, that he thought he could be back before the year ended. But it turns out maybe like his injury just coincided with the advancing, care for such an injury and the rehabilitation for such an injury. And they're also all not the exact, the severity of the tears can be, I would think, a factor too, in that and how quickly you can come back. But it seemed crazy that that was even being talked about. But now in hindsight, it maybe did, just because it was Rodgers, it was maybe more annoying, but maybe factually it was fine.
Well, I still think I was being played. We were being played.
Sure, yeah.
But because it was 3 months. But you're right. I mean, fair point. Maybe it is now possible that you could play even in the same year.
So Hoyt got hurt in November, early November, right? November 2nd, you said?
Yep.
And he's on the field in May, participating in minicamp, right? He had done stuff on the side, but he was
6 months.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's crazy. That injury was just, what year are we talking about here? Like late 90s? Like that was a death sentence for Sam Cowart. He suffered a torn Achilles maybe in his second year, third year. It was early in his career. He looked like
linebacker.
A fantastic, promising player for the Bills, and he just was never the same. But here we have guys that are coming back all the time from that injury now.
Yeah, running backs. When I was getting serious about fantasy, you had, I think Royce Freeman might have been one. Cam Akers had a torn Achilles and maybe another one. He might have had the same injury twice, but it's like, yeah, you can cut them. They're not coming back. And they both did.
Yep. I remember with Akers specifically that it seemed incredible that he was back when he was back.
Yeah, right. He played in the playoffs after having been injured. I don't know if it was the same year, but yeah, that's right. It's how I remember it too. Has by the way, just to find out, has word reached you that I joined a new fantasy league? Did you know that?
I don't even those notifications. It broke my notifications. Like I don't get notified anymore because it happens so frequently. It wore it out.
I see.
It wore out.
You have it set on your phone that you get normally.
I get told
before now.
Yeah.
Before you disabled
Just,
it,
like,
you would get some sort of news item.
I got a weird message late last week that it was like overload.
Okay.
No, what did you do?
I thought it was funny. I went with that. Wouldn't that be great if Bulldog got like breaking news on his phone that I had joined a league? Oh, I wish I could somehow make that happen.
I get less useful stuff sent to my phone all the time. I can tell you that.
Well, yeah, I mean, this would maybe top the list, but so no. It'll be my first league with Zach.
Oh, well, how about that?
Yeah.
Look at you guys.
So I was with Mr. Callie.
Okay.
On Saturday.
All right.
And he mentioned that there's a work league, and we have one opening. I'm like, I wasn't looking for this. I was not looking for this.
I want to say whether I flatter myself to assume that I could have been considered, but I feel like if I wasn't, I've done something right.
Well, Owen's in it.
Right. So, Owen, yeah, if Joe asked, hey, why don't you ask your dad? And Owen probably said,
no.
Dude, no, I'm not going to ask my dad.
No.
I like my dad. I want my dad to like me.
Well, like I have no problem being in it with the guys at work. I'd enjoy it. But then I asked, this is going to sound so bad. I asked my wife and Joe's mom were sitting at the table. Joe was my nephew. And the four of us are sitting there, and this is brought up. I don't think he exactly invited me, but he's like, if you wanted, you could probably we can arrange this. And so, I sort of looked around the table and it was getting looked at back, and I asked the question, "How much is it?" And Joe's like, $20. I'm like, oh no. Now what have I done? I've joined. This is going to sound bad. I told you. Now I've joined a league for $20.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's like $1 a week of entertainment. And the thing about this, I'm not thinking of anyone in particular, but the thing about a league where you pay $20, Joe might have even said we were going to do 10. 10.
What's the payout there?
I mean, what's the pay? What do you get if you win?
$80?
Yeah, something like that. It's an evening out.
Yeah.
But fine. The thing about that is it can get fishy. Like it can get weird if you can't play poker for nothing.
Right.
Because I'm all in. Just
yeah.
People just don't.
Right.
For that kind of money,
you don't get to treat it the same. Yeah.
You might not take it seriously.
Right.
And that scares me a little bit. But I mean, I did it. I said yes.
If it's a work league, the people here have got professional work, on-air bragging right pride. Like they right. will not. They will not just. Me, on the other hand,
no pride.
No, don't care.
No professional pride at all.
I'm begging you to mock me for how bad my fantasy team is doing. Yes. I don't care. It means nothing to me.
We will not be wearing gray uniforms. I can tell you that. My team.
Good for you.
Would never.
Good for you.
How did gray even get thought of? Who's to blame? Detroit? The Bills, no offense. The Bills people looked at the Lions in those gray, chin to toe uniforms and thought, yes. And that's incredible to me. Like you've actually seen it on an NFL field. Did they even play Detroit once when the Lions were?
Maybe.
You like them?
I like the Lions uniforms, the gray ones. I like these. I like the gray. I'm not anti. I like the gray.
Did Detroit put theirs with a blue helmet too? Maybe.
I don't remember now. They do have a bright blue helmet that I've seen them wear. I'm just not sure if it's with that gear.
I think they might have, but
yeah, no, it's very similar to that. Whenever a college team even goes, and I hear like Zach's over here tweeting about MACtion Tuesday nights and whatever, and I hear it. I understand. You give me a college. Like Ole Miss comes out in all gray with a red helmet, which I think they've done. Man, I'm 100% here for that. I think it really it works for me.
The blue and the gray.
Yeah,
it sort of works in the South.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, maybe
the Rebels.
Yeah, that might hit a little too close to gray. But I like that. I'm not at all upset about the color of the new kit. It's for me, it's fine. I recognize that a lot of people feel visceral anger and hatred toward it, and I'm not here to tell you should change your mind. Tell you, for me, I saw like, oh, everybody's mad at this. Why does everybody hate Gray? What did Gray ever do to anybody?
No, nothing good. That's what Gray ever did to anybody. Just nothing good.
Is the worst thing you say about Gray is that it doesn't want to choose. It's what's in between black and white, and so like
You're going Gray. Is that a compliment?
It's sort of nondescript.
No, it's not a compliment.
You know?
I see you're going Gray. Thanks. Yeah, no, that's not a compliment. No. I just have never thought of it or hardly ever seen it as a sports uniform color. Like it's whoever wears gray.
Which
I guess baseball, Yankees. Baseball teams on the road.
Sure. Yeah, that's right. The point you just made though about no why do it? Nobody does it. Okay. Do it.
That's why?
Yeah. For me, like it stands out.
$20.
$20. Yeah, just, what is Paul's? Like 50? I don't even know.
It's at least 50.
I think it's 50, yeah.
Yeah. And that's not too cheap.
No.
I think maybe that's the number.
Yeah.
For me. I think maybe that's the number. But when he said, after I agreed to play, when he said that, like, oh, no, $20. You pay him in quarters. No, in honor of today, nickels. I'll go get $20 in rolls of nickels. Nah, come on, I'm just kidding. I'm happy to do it. It'll be fun. I get to play head-to-head with Zach and with Joe and Owen among others. Here is Zach with us on the Western Hotline. Zach, go ahead.
Hey, guys. Just opinion on the jerseys. I want to defend it, but also criticize it at the same time. I understand the marketing aspect behind it, something new. It's why Oregon gets all these new jerseys. They had to do something a little different. But I also think, like, they've missed the mark these last couple of years where they could have come out with the 90s, late 80s, 90s iteration of the blue home jersey. It's a little different than what they wear now. I know it's not a ton different, but it definitely is different. If you see somebody walking in a Thurman Thomas jersey or a Jim Kelly jersey, it's definitely different. Numbers are different. And mid-90s, they put the red collar on. I mean, people who are into jerseys definitely recognize that kind of stuff. And there definitely was some, money to be made there. And I feel like they missed the mark. Yes, it's the red helmets, but those jerseys, would have sold. I just wonder, do they not listen? Do they not, do they not care?
I think there's a pretty easy answer to this. We had this conversation earlier, Zach, and it's because people already have them.
Yeah, it's not new.
So they want to sell new stuff. And if I have that Thurman Thomas jersey, I don't think I need another one. So
I caught you guys saying that, but it would be new in a James Cook number 4. It would be new.
That's right.
In a Josh Allen 17. You know what I mean?
Yeah, maybe there's something to be said for leaving that design for those teams. Those are the best teams. The current iteration of the Bills is very talented, but I mean, 4 straight Super Bowls, right? I mean, the Hall of Famers up and down, including the coach. I don't necessarily need the Bills of 2026 running around in the gear that Bruce Smith and Jim Kelly wore. Like those are their jerseys.
It's already pretty close.
So I don't know. I know that would have been popular. I'd love to know if they had a way to like market and analyze this, what they would have thought or what a equation would have spit out as a result of which do you think you'd sell more of? Because I'll bet they are going to sell $1 million worth of this stuff. I mean, it's expensive. That's a good place to start. But people are going to buy it.
If they do sell $1 million of these jerseys, that'll be $999,000 in profit.
Right.
As well. So there's, I think it's probably a really lucrative thing.
For sure.
I mean, maybe somehow you can get a 90s style jersey with the current guy's name on it, but don't. Never do that.
No, that's
never
like
cross the streams.
That's like a navy blue parole jersey.
Right.
Like, just no.
They exist.
Please don't do that.
Sorry, but
yeah, no.
I think a jersey should be authentic to
its era.
Who wore it when? You want it to be look like it could have been worn in a game. As close to that as possible or affordable. Don't go mixing up eras though. Thank you, Zach. Mike Schopp and the Bulldog back after this. This is WGR. Welcome back, Mike Schopp and the Bulldog. Let's go to Tommy here. Tommy, we got about 2 minutes.
Okay, yeah, guys, I just want to say, I mean, what are we doing with these jerseys? We got to add meaning to everything. We got grain elevators. Like, what did they do? Call the local guy at University of Buffalo and say, how many friggin' metaphors can we shove into these great jerseys that's humanly possible? Whatever happened to just making jerseys that look cool for once? You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, the language to me in this thing is, unbelievable. I want to say offensive, but I want to better convey actually how I do feel about it, because offensive is not really what it is. It is kind almost.
Yeah.
It's more just, it just seems so weird how corporations write. And the Bills did this with that announcement about their concession, the frictionless concessions.
Mm-hmm.
Like that got through. Who do you think, who's reading this that it cares, and there's a lot of that today. Micro metallic flake finish that shows a strength and energy and tone on tone striping and just all of it.
I wonder how much of that is like you put into an AI generator, like what you want to emphasize, blue collar, steel workers, whatever. Like, why are they gray? Well, metal's gray. God, is that as simple as that? That's how
it is an existing brand color.
Yeah, I don't know.
Whatever that means.
But yeah, I mean, you got to consider, to me, like the AI possibility, and then of course humans would read and go like, yeah, okay, no, that's good. And that might be the bigger problem. I mean, AI can produce any kind of nonsense.
Tone on tone striping with the exact stripe weights and ratios as our primary uniform. These tonal stripes are formed under extreme pressure as a sign of strength and durability. That's my number one. Just
tone on tone striping. That's a lot of descriptors for a stripe.
There's a book called The Best Sentence Ever Written about the sentence from the Declaration of Independence, life, liberty, the pursuit of happiness. There's a book about that sentence. It just takes on every word of it. The sequel should be on that paragraph, that one sentence. Tone on tone striping. I'd read it. How did you get there? Earlier, Aaron Schatz previews the season. Stay tuned.